Hi, welcome back. If you're a returning subscriber, I'm very grateful to you for not thinking I just disappeared off the face of the earth, because I didn't. I'm just not very good at uploading and making stuff regularly. Today's video is a bit of a mishmash of things again. It's basically an unboxing and a journal with me all in one. And we'll start by opening up a package from Café Analog that I received at the very start of April. Unlike some of my other stationery purchases, this one was definitely really well thought through before I placed the order. To begin with, I just wanted to get a single stamp. It was something that I saw on Desiree's Instagram like months before it got released on their website, and when it finally appeared for sale, I had to get it. And of course, it just seemed silly to get a single thing, so I threw in 2 more stamps that I've been looking at for a while and just never got to buying because they were just a bit on the expensive side. But here we were, and I was just so in love with the little bits and pieces that came in the freebies envelope, especially these white silhouette PET tapes. That was just gorgeous. It just felt so me. I've already used them to decorate some parts of my standard setup, so thank you, Café Analog, for sending me the most beautiful little things. But enough about the freebies, let's talk about the stamps. As you can see, 2 of these were from Baumkuchen, and specifically they were from their collab with Johnny Marriott, who is a German artist I absolutely adore. They were just so surreal and so versatile. And the 3rd stamp was actually from Café Analog themselves, and this was the Oracle stamp. So that's something I will talk a bit more about later when we're doing the journaling and I can just yap about whatever. But let's just say the Oracle stamp was the reason I placed the order to begin with, because I have a very, I guess, personal and special relationship with this idea of using oracle cards or tarot cards for journaling and self-reflection. So when I saw it, I simply had to get it. As for the Baumkuchen stamps, as I said before, am a huge fan of this art style. It's just so dreamlike and surreal, and is just kind of the perfect style for me. So I'm incredibly happy I have them. And truth be told, I'm still eyeing the other ones from the collection because there's a few more designs that I didn't get. There's a tree one, like a tree person, and there's also a staircase who is also like a character. It's not just a staircase, it's like a staircase person. So I'm still looking at them. I don't know if I should get them because they're definitely a bit more expensive and they're also a bit larger, which means, I'd have to figure out where to store them. But they are all insanely beautiful, and the quality and the tactility of them just feels incredible. So if you're considering getting them, you absolutely should. Not to enable you or anything, but I'm just saying they are beautiful. April was a bit of a busy month. A lot has happened, and one of the things was this desk. My partner found it for sale on one of those secondhand websites, and we had to carry it across the city. We took it in the underground, which was probably hilarious from the outside, but it was actually really heavy, and going down the escalators with this thing was Oh my god, it was just horrible. The drawers kept falling out. It's incredibly heavy. Parts of it are solid wood, so it was a workout. But I was just so happy when we got home and we put it in this corner because I finally had my own desk. Like, until then, I just journaled on our dinner table, which was fine. I mean, the light there is just gorgeous. That's where I've been filming so far. But it still didn't feel like my own space where I can just leave stuff out, not worry too much about, cleaning up because we have to set the table for dinner or lunch or whatever. It was just nice to finally get a spot where my journals and papers and stamps can just completely take over. It took me exactly a month to sit down and finally make something with the stamps that I got. I wanted it to be something special, and to be honest, at first I had very, let's say, grandiose plans for this video. I wanted to talk a bit more about the Oracle and Tarot cards and how I use them, and I was planning to do like a little show and tell of my collection, if you can even call it that. I have like 4 or 5 decks, that's it. But in the end, I had to scrap that idea and just do something a little bit more simple because I just kept procrastinating it. It was already so perfect in my mind. Like, the idea of it was just so good that I was scared of making it. But please let me know if you would be interested in seeing me go through my cards and I guess hearing me talk a bit more about how I use them specifically with my journals, like as part of my journaling practice. And I would also love to hear from you guys if any of you also use cards, any type, oracle or tarot or anything in between, how you use them, what role they play in your journaling, in your life. It would just be super cool to, just to see what you guys are doing. So let me know. And in the meantime, I guess I'll talk a bit more about what I'm doing here on paper. So given the theme of the stamps, I of course wanted to create something on the subject of Oracle and Tarot, something like a reflection on my own practice and relationship with them. And as you saw earlier, I found like the perfect illustration from Johnny Marriott's 1 page a day calendar thingy. You know, the one with the hand holding a bunch of cards and like they're all not just cards, they're people. Oh, it's perfect for what I was trying to do. But I also wanted to build a little house, like a tarot reader's house, under the moon on a hill, with all kinds of magical creatures roaming around it. Unfortunately, though, because I'm working in passport size, both of them wouldn't fit on the same page. So in the end, I decided to break them up into 2 separate spreads. I guess I decided to make this landscape into a spread, and then I just made a single page using the calendar illustration. Of course, I had to put together a little poem. This one felt more like a nursery rhyme because unlike most things that I do, it rhymed, like every 2 lines rhymed. That was a fun experiment as well, because I don't know if you've ever tried doing like found poetry or just, looking for words in a book or a page of a magazine or something, but you don't actually have access to that many words. You start noticing that the writer has like a set vocabulary that they gravitate towards, and if you're looking for a specific word that is just not there, you're basically out of luck, I guess. Or you can collect single letters and then make the word that you want. But this was a fun experiment because I didn't necessarily select the words that I wanted, but the words that were available and rhymed. So it was a fun challenge that I think I'll try again later. I used the darkest one of the MU Design inks that I own to stamp the Oracle reader, just because I really wanted it to stand out. And it just came out perfect. Honestly, just watching this footage back while I'm recording the voiceover makes me want to use it more. It's just such a cute stamp. I just love it so much. And after that, I glued down the little house that I simply free-handed out of some old scrap paper. This was from a booklet my partner and I got when we were visiting his hometown. This particular page had phases of the moon for, I believe, year 1960, so it felt appropriate for a little oracle house to have phases of the moon on its facade. And then I made some clouds and I stamped a moon. Just for anyone who's interested, the moon stamp is just a circle. It's just a plain circle. It looks really nice on textured paper because I guess the stamps never come out perfect, which gives it this nice moon texture. So that's what I normally use to create my full moons on my spreads. I don't actually own a dedicated moon stamp. And actually, that's the part of journaling that I enjoy the most. I think it's this repurposing and reimagining of objects and things and images into something that they're not. But on my pages, they can be anything they want, or I guess anything I want them to be. And it just feels fun. It feels like playing, and it might just be the most valuable part of it all for me. It was already getting quite late, which always surprises me. When I journal, I don't really notice the time passing by. It felt like I've only just started, but it turned out that I've been at it for like 2 hours, and I had to clean up a bit and just come back to it tomorrow. But I was really happy with the progress, and it was just a nice, cozy little house that I definitely wanted to imagine myself in. As planned, I came back to my pages the next day to finish them. And I guess while we're watching this footage back, I could talk a bit more about my personal journey with tarot, just say a few words about why and how I got into them and how I use them in my daily life these days. So yeah, here goes nothing. I guess to a certain extent, I've always been interested in tarot, at least since I was a teenager. I think there's just something so appealing in having a little deck of cards that you treat as a magical object, or at least a very meaningful object. We'll get into the magic side of it all later. But that is to say, I've been tarot curious for years. But I only got my first deck in 2020 or perhaps early 2021. It was during the first lockdown. It was a strange time for us all, and I was honestly just looking for ways to, I guess, occupy myself with something, just get my mind off of the absolute horrors of unpredictability that we were all going through at the time. And tarot just seemed like the right choice. I have never been a spiritual person, or rather, I never considered myself a spiritual person. I never went to church, so I never took part in any sort of organized religions. So when I got my first deck of tarot, I did not know what to do with them. I mean, of course, I have been watching videos and reading up on it, but I can say that the whole divination side of things appealed to me very much. It was always like a weird push and pull for me between the curiosity that I had about the practice and the, I guess, misalignment that I felt between my values and the general opinions and interpretations. I think when I first got them, I tried to learn the meanings of cards through those little blurbs that you get when you Google the meaning of the cards online. And that was obviously not the way to go. There is, of course, a certain value in hearing other people's interpretations, but I think I was trying to take it as, I don't know, a test of some sort, right? It's like I was studying for a test, and there was, in my mind, a definite meaning for each and every card, and you could interpret it right or you could interpret it wrong. Nowadays, I don't believe that. These days, I think I go with the flow a little bit more when it comes to reading the cards, when it comes to, interpreting the art, and letting the same card have different meanings depending on the context, which I think is kind of the whole point of having different spreads and different questions. But when I started, it was not the case. But let's take a little break from the tarot discussion. Let's just put it on hold for a moment and go back to what I was doing at my desk. So as you can see, I finished the previous spread, the one I have been working on for 2 days. But I still couldn't let that image out of my head. I really wanted to use the deck of cards / people image that I found in the Joni Marriott calendar. And so I just flipped to a new page and decided to improvise something. It was very simple, and it was entirely so I could try this idea out. The moment I saw the image and the moment I held it next to the stamps that I ordered, I knew that this had to happen, all right? I mean, how perfect does this little stamp fit the deck of cards that's already in the hand? I mean, look at that. It doesn't just happen, right? It was meant to be. So, of course, I wanted to use it. And now back to my tarot journey. So, after trying to use them with the little fixed card meanings that I found online, I kind of got burnt out. It was not what I expected it to be. I mean, the practice was not personally meaningful or fulfilling because I was fully relying on these little blurbs that other people have written. I couldn't really apply them to the situations or questions that I was asking. And it wasn't working, right? I mean, spoiler alert, it wasn't working because of the way that I was using them. But anyway, I ended up putting them back in their little box in my drawer and leaving them there for, I want to say like a year, maybe 2 years. But eventually I came back to them, and I think by that point I have sort of realized what I was doing wrong when I first got them, and I tried to approach them more intuitively. What I started to do differently is I would first write out the question or the problem that I was having in my journal, and I would just free journal about it, just a few sentences. I mean, just saying my current opinion, what I'm currently feeling, thinking, whatever it is, basically my current stance on whatever it is that I'm asking the cards about. And then I would pull a few cards, or sometimes just one. And instead of searching up the meanings online, I would actually just sit with my associations that I would have to the colors or the imagery or literally anything that I would see in the illustrations on the cards. I should say that I have always used the Rider-Waite type decks, so there was never I never had to learn the numerology or anything like that. I know some people do for like the Marseille system, but I always used the cards that had very clear and, let's say, story-like illustrations on them. So that made it so much easier for me to approach the cards intuitively and not rely on those little blurbs that you can find online or probably ask ChatGPT about these days. But that was a game changer. I don't know what it was. I mean, I'm sure it was the fact that I was no longer reading other people's thoughts, and I was actually letting myself think and letting myself have free associations to whatever I was seeing. But I think the huge part of it was also in the fact that I was first writing out my current unaltered stance on the situation and having it on paper, having it fixed there, and being able to look at it while holding the card imagery in my mind, or quite literally in front of me, right? Something about that just clicked for me. All of a sudden, I started seeing the significance in the cards that I was pulling. I started seeing the value in getting this completely new and sometimes very unexpected perspective on the questions that I was asking. And it started working. I mean, since then, I've sort of used the cards sporadically on and off, but I never went longer than a few months without using them. Specifically when I would have sort of big questions, big decisions to make, or let's be honest, big problems to deal with, that's when the cards would come in the most useful. And of course, I don't think it's right to only use the decks for sort of moments of crisis. I'm trying to shift away from that, but I still think that it's important to not push yourself to use them when you don't feel like you need advice, right? I mean, you don't go about asking strangers for their opinions when you're not seeking advice. You have to be in a certain mind space to receive these messages, these recommendations. And it just happens for me that the moments that I'm most receptive to this is when I'm struggling with something. So this is the part that the cards occupy in my life right now. They are a kind of friend that I can ask for advice when things are going wrong, or if not necessarily wrong, then definitely not in the direction that I was prepared for. I don't do any daily pulls, anything like that. I very much rely on my internal needs and feelings. Like if I feel like I want to pull a card, I do. If I don't push myself. I now have a little collection and I refer to them pretty much whenever I need them. And so after 2 days of journaling, I was finally happy with the pages, and I went outside into this little grassy bit next to our house to film the big reveal. I was very happy with these, and I honestly don't know why it took me like 3 months to post this. I am so sorry to anyone who was hoping to get some kind of smoke signal from me earlier, but it's finally here, right? And I honestly, I hope that in the future I can be a little bit more consistent, though I can't promise anything. Ever since I've started my new German course, it has been a very busy time for me. I've also been trying to go out a bit more and talk to people that are not just online, but like, face to face, the way humans are meant to communicate. Weird stuff, honestly. You should try it. It's good, but exhausting, but good. So that's the short explanation for what has been happening. I actually filmed a lot more than this. I still have some other footage, including a little halfway flip through that I filmed during one of my trips. And I think I have another journal with me after that. So let's see how that goes. I will try to edit and record the audio for them so that, there isn't like a 5-month gap between my videos. Oof. I hope you enjoyed this video. That's all I want to say, really. I am looking forward to spending more time in my journals, specifically in this passport, which has not been getting much love lately. And I look forward to getting back into the groove of just making stuff and posting it and not overthinking it the way I did with this particular video. So, yeah, tell me what you have been up to. How is your summer going? My one has been busy and honestly a bit of an emotional roller coaster so far, but that's life, I guess. Anyway, thank you so much for sticking around, and If you'd like to see more of my journals, you are very welcome to follow me over on Instagram. My username is the same as here on YouTube. It's Sophia with 2 eyes. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in my future videos. Take care and bye for now.